And regional upheaval threatens the Middle East as Pakistan launches airstrikes against militants in Iran in response to Tehran's assaults that killed civilians 2 days ago. And for more on the situation between Iran and Pakistan, we're joined now by Professor Barton from Deakin University. Professor Barton, it's an extraordinary escalation of hostilities that we're seeing between Pakistan and Iran at this time, with Pakistan launching those retaliatory sort of strikes, positions of these separatist militant groups, the positions of them. Now, this struggle with these groups, it isn't new for either side here, but this doesn't appear to be business as usual. Can you tell us why or why not?
No, it's certainly not business as usual. This is the first time that Iran has been struck by a foreign power in its territory since it was at war with Iraq. So, it's quite a development. And it's not common for Iran to project power into Pakistani territory. These two neighbours generally, though they have their problems, have had a sort of reasonable relationship. So it's really odd to see an exchange of fire in this way. Both say that they're targeting separatists that were hiding in the other's territory, not targeting the neighbouring country per se. I think there's good reason to see that this won't escalate. I think the intention of both Iran and Pakistan is for it not to escalate. The Pakistan response strike, I think, was basically a response to the Iran strike, and Pakistan felt it couldn't not do anything. It had to make a response. The question is, why did Iran strike in the first place?
Professor Barton, you're saying that it's unlikely, you feel it may be unlikely that this situation might escalate, but Iran's boldness in taking these steps, I mean, we're talking about strikes that it made on at least 3 countries so far, right? On positions at least. And at least from the outside, it appears that those steps have been rather risky, a rather risky political calculus at least, towards these anti-terror operations. What message do you think Tehran is sending, coming as these actions do, against the backdrop of the larger regional conflict that we know is occurring in the Middle East?
Yeah, it is paradoxical. Yeah, I mean, there's good reason to believe that Iran doesn't want all-out war, and yet it's playing with its proxies. The Houthis, of course, striking Shibhi in the Red Sea. Hamas, of course, is a proxy of Iran, even if Hamas launched its October 7 terrorist attack, possibly without Iran knowing in advance. And then, of course, Hezbollah in the south of Lebanon. Iran is in all sorts of trouble with these proxies. It's not in a position of strength. It can't really afford an all-out conflict with America or Israel. And yet it's behaving in a very reckless fashion, and it's hard to understand that. Perhaps one explanation for the strike in Pakistan was Iran just 2 weeks earlier had gone through its worst ever terrorist attack in modern times in Kerman, killing probably around 100 people at the tomb of Soleimani, the assassinated general, in their point of view, martyred general killed by the Americans in an airstrike. So perhaps Iran just feels it has to project strength. It doesn't want to escalate with Pakistan. Pakistan feels it has to respond, also not wanting to take this any further. Pakistan was perhaps the unfortunate sort of victim in a case of Iran feeling it had to show itself able to take charge. But it's really a mystery as to why they're doing this, because it is very risky.
Right. A final question for you, Professor Barton. I mean, should we fear at all a wider sort of escalation of hostilities here in regards to this? And also, why aren't we seeing more cooperation between these two countries? I mean, is the mistrust that great? Because it appears that they have a common adversary here.
Yeah, it's certainly the case that they do have a common adversary, at least adversaries that overlap. I mean, separatists either side of the border. And generally, there has been a reasonably good relationship between Iran and Pakistan. I think Pakistan was just unfortunate as a point of its territory is used for an expression of Iran showing itself to be still powerful. Pakistan felt it had to respond. I don't think we should be terribly concerned right now about an escalation involving Iran and Pakistan. We should, however, be very concerned about an escalation between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. That is sort of on the edge, that could tip out into a point where it expands very quickly. We've already had a degree of escalation with the Houthis to the south. Now, it may be in all of that Pakistan ends up, suffering from the crossfire as well. But that's not really a flashpoint, the border between the 1,000-kilometre border between Pakistan and Iran. But in the context of everything else that's happening, yes, of course, we can't be dismissive. This is not good news.
Professor Barton, I want to thank you for your thoughts on this. Professor Greg Barton there from Deakin University.